All right, everybody. So here's the thing. I see Edward said everyone better be here this week or I'm unsubscribing. So bad news, Edward. Uh Joe already wasn't going to be on the show. Ryan is sick and Ron last second said he's not available. So it's just me tonight and I have no materials. I have no intro video. I have no outro video. I have none of the transition videos, but I'm still going to run this. I'm going to take any questions that pop in, and we're going to go game by game here and give you something this week. So sorry about this, guys. Just kind of sprung up last second. So uh, there's not really a ton of news today. Odell Beckham is playing tonight. They're kicking off in about an hour here. So that was kind of some big news. A lot of people didn't expect him to play. As far as other big injuries, I don't think anything really significant has come out. I think the biggest surprise on the injury report today was Derrick Henry didn't practice, but I have to imagine that's because they let him carry the rock like 30 times a game. So that's probably why he's not practicing. I would guess it's just a day off, but that's that. So other than that, I'm going to get rolling. And if any other news comes in on my phone, I will let you know. But we were going to go game by game here. At the end, we'll do some lightning round DFS. I'll share Joe's lineup and my lineup. Those are the only two ones I have. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this rolling. So the first game we have is the Washington football team at the Green Bay Packers. So this game is being played at Lambeau in the Packers throwback jerseys. I got the Pack win in this game, unfortunately. Your fantasy relevant players, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, you got Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and Devontae Adams. On the other side of the ball, you have Taylor Heineke. You have I think he is viable this week. He's probably not rated too high. I think he's my QB 16 this week. It's a tough place to go play Lambeau. So, and something I learned watching the Packers this year when they played the Bears on Sunday, they control the clock. They eat clock. They keep your team off the field. They run the ball with both Jones and Dillon. So, yeah, I've learned that I'm not going to play a lot of DFS guys playing against the Packers week to week. So that's something that I can offer you. As far as tight ends, if you want to roll the dice on Robert Tonyan, eventually he's going to have a game where he catches 2 or 3 touchdowns. I think he's 3,500 in DFS this week. I probably won't play him anywhere. You just can't trust him with the low volume that he gets. But you could potentially play him if you're in a bind. I know there's a lot of bye weeks this week. So you got the two of the most explosive offenses. You have the Chargers and the Cowboys both on bye weeks this week. So if you're in a pinch and you have Dalton Schultz or Jared Cook or both, like I do in one league, you may have to add someone like Robert Tonyan. For Washington, Ricky Seals-Jones is still viable. He's really kind of shined in the opportunity that he's gotten. Logan Thomas going down. He's been productive. He had a long touchdown versus the Chiefs last week. He is battling a quad injury, so you got to keep an eye on that. But he's one of the most added players this week, so he's definitely viable. Antonio Gibson, I'll tell you what, if you can sell Antonio Gibson in your league, go ahead and do it. I don't trust the look at Joe texting me now. I'm in it now, Joe. I don't that shin injury is suspicious. He's in and out of practice. He's on the injury report. He was down on the field last week. If you can try and flip him, maybe package him with a mid-tier receiver for a higher tier running back, like if someone's crazy enough to give up Jonathan Taylor or maybe even an Aaron Jones, I would sell if possible. So hopefully he has a good week this week, but I'm pretty nervous about Antonio Gibson, and I know Ryan is not happy with Antonio Gibson. So other than that, I think that pretty much covers this game, the fantasy relevant players. So we'll go ahead and roll into the next game here. We got the Chiefs going to Tennessee to face the Titans. This has shootout / high scoring game written all over it. Two bad defenses, two good offenses. In this game, obviously you're starting Derrick Henry, the superhuman. I would start Tannehill. I think it's a good week for him to get on track. He's going to have to score, obviously. You can start, obviously, Patrick Mahomes. You can start Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Keep an eye on Hill's quad, but I think he's going to be good to go. He's not practicing, but it's just kind of you can tell it's just a lingering, nagging thing. So go ahead and play your usual Kansas City starters. Darrell Williams is obviously still viable with CEH still on IR. I would not trust or touch McKinnon unless there was a absolute emergency for the Chiefs. So, Joe's calling me. Let's see if Joe can get on live. Hey, Joe.
Hey, did you call?
Yeah, you're live on YouTube right now.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, you need help walking through it, or are you good?
I'm just rolling with it. This is garbage time. So I'm by myself live on YouTube. Tune in.
Yeah. You have anyone actually answering you yet?
Edward's in here. Our loyal. He said everyone better be here this week or I'm unsubscribing, but he's still in here talking to me. So.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. We'll tell Edwards he can shove it, I guess, because you're the only one there.
Yeah, so. All right, I'm gonna get back to this. We're on the Chiefs and Titans right now. So.
Yeah, enlighten him so he stays. Okay.
All right, man. See ya. We're garbage time. We really live up to the name. Let's see. Got a question popping in from Edward. Missing Dalvin Cook and Josh Allen on buys this week. Tyreek better be playing. Yeah, I hear you, brother. I got a league where I have Josh Allen, Zeke, Najee Harris, Keenan Allen, all out. So it's definitely the worst week of the season for bye weeks. Hopefully everything gets back to normal next week. Rolling back into the game, keep an eye on Julio and his nagging hamstring injury. I don't even know if you want to start him at this point. He's just on and off the field 24/7. You just can't trust him to stay healthy. So if you have him, you probably drafted him high enough where you have to start him if he's active, but it's something to monitor. It's a noon game, luckily, so you can keep an eye on the actives and inactives. You'd think he would be able to play this one. It's a big game for the Titans. They just won a big game versus the Bills, and this is another top opponent in the AFC, so you'd expect him to play. A.J. Brown's hamstring is okay, but he had the illness last week that he played through, so he still had 91 receiving yards. He should be fine. So, no real surprises in this game. I expect it to be one of the most stacked DFS games this week for sure, with high ownership for all these guys. So, no real sleepers for this one. Still waiting for Josh Gordon to get involved for the Chiefs. I'm not sure if he ever will. Joe made the point that any Kansas City wide receiver 2 is pretty much useless. So he may have been on something there. But yeah, that's it for this game. So let's transition to the Falcons Dolphins. And typically what we do, guys, is we pick like 4 or 5 games, and then each of us have a wild card game. But since it's just me and I'm rolling through these, I'll just try and get through all the games within the hour. So, all right, you got Atlanta versus Dolphins. I guess a piece of news that I should have touched on in the beginning is Deshaun Watson. So there's a ton of rumors out there that Deshaun Watson is going to get traded before the deadline. There's rumors of a 3-team trade. I know Denver's been thrown out there. Washington's been thrown out there. But it sounds like his primary destination is Miami. So I'm not sure how it works. He's actually technically eligible to play. I don't know if a team trades for him and they plan to play him, if the NFL would step in with everything going on with that investigation. But I know in a deeper league, I added him. I'm in a 16-team league, and I added him. If he does end up playing in that Dolphins offense with Jaylen Waddle and his old buddy Will Fuller and Devontae Parker, it could be lethal. So if you're in a really deep league and you have maybe even if you have like a Josh Allen or a Kyler Murray and you don't really need another quarterback, maybe add him if you got some junk on your bench and you can flip him for something more valuable if it works out. It's a long shot for sure, but just something to consider. Anyways, I'm gonna roll back into this. So we got Atlanta and Miami. So starters. With all the bye weeks this week, both these quarterbacks are viable to fill in. You saw Matt Ryan get some momentum on his last start versus the Jets in London. He had a pretty good game. Kyle Pitts had his breakout game, so hopefully he can keep it rolling. You're starting him, obviously, if you have him. Calvin Ridley is back from whatever the personal issue was. He's back this week, so he is in your lineup if you have him. And then you can probably play both Falcons running backs. Patterson, obviously, he's one of the hottest fantasy players this year. You're starting him if you got him. And then Mike Davis, I don't like him, but he's got a really great matchup here, and I definitely can see him getting some work this game. So I would not be surprised if he scored and had a couple of receptions. So again, with all the bye weeks, Mike Davis is a viable starter this week. As far as the Dolphins, Tua was limited with his ribs. They're just sore. He's going to be starting again in this one at home. So obviously versus a terrible Falcons defense, he's viable to fill in if you have one of the guys on buys. Tight end, Mike Gesicki, if you own him, you're probably playing him. Jaylen Waddle is certainly viable in this. I like him as a low-end wide receiver 2/flex play this week. So you can roll with Jaylen Waddle. I like him in DFS a little bit. Tua just loves Waddle. He hyper targets him. So it's very encouraging to see last week watching the London game. So I think old Waddle is in for a pretty big second half of the year. And then the biggest mystery in the NFL maybe is the Miami backfield. So you had Myles Gaskins score or as Joe would say, Myles Gaskins score 30 points in week 5. And then last week it's back to no productivity. And even with the positive game script, being in a close matchup with the Jags, he still wasn't involved enough. So if you're in a terrible bind and you have to start him, I'm sorry, but I'm not starting Gaskin. I would maybe even rather play like Kenny Gainwell versus the Raiders on the turf, than Gaskin. He's just, you cannot trust him. So high risk, high reward, I suppose. But yeah, as far as Miami's other pass catchers, again, I'm going to need to stop saying this, but with all the buys, Devontae Parker monitoring his health is a potential substitute. Tua has gotten him the ball in the past. So if you're in a pinch, go ahead. Oh, look at this. Garbage Time Fantasy Football has added a comment. I believe this is Joe. I was there twice this week, Edward. Do the 5. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, so really no other sleepers in this one. As far as DFS, I'm just going to talk about DFS at the end of every game, but I like Waddle in this one. Pitts is okay. I think he's priced just under 6,000. I probably won't roll with him, but not a whole lot of appeal in that one for me. Next game. Oh, look at this.
What is this bullshit if you have to do this by yourself? An hour before the show, I've already done 2 this week, and I'm coming in to help save the day. What the hell?
Thanks, Joe.
Anyway, what's going on? What are we talking about?
I just got through the Falcons-Dolphins game. So I was moving on to your perfect timing, actually. I was going to move on to the Jets and Patriots here.
Funny how that works.
Came in just in time.
Yeah, so don't start any Jets outside of their starting running back. What else do we have to say about that? They're going to shut down their number 1 wide receiver. I think you can start your Patriots in this game. I really don't think there's a ton to say about this game. What's your opinion on the Jets offense? I don't think Corey Davis is really playable in this game.
If you have to, one thing I've been just blasting is the bye weeks, how many people are out. So it's very possible that a team will be in a bind and have to start Corey Davis if they have him. So, I
mean, I'm in so much of a bind and we have to start Brandon Ayuk this week. So what's that telling you?
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a tough week, I think. Luckily, Smith, the guy I'm playing against, has had a lot of injuries. He's not in waiver wire hell like I am, but I'm in waiver wire hell, so it's about an even match.
All right. What about Mac Jones? Any appeal?
So I don't believe Mac Jones in a regular format has any appeal because he's more of a quarterback 2 this week. But in Superflex League, I think he's got a lot of appeal, actually. But this Jets secondary has been very underrated. It's actually in the top 5 right now, and it's only been 5 weeks. They've gone up against some all right opponents. Matt Ryan, though, showed that they are vulnerable. They're young and still learning. So Mac Jones, I think, is right on the edge of a starter this week.
All right, let's keep it moving.
Hold on, let me mention one thing though, just about Michael Carter. You did bring up their offense here, and I did make a short about him this week. Michael Carter has actually been getting quite a lot of work in the Jets offense and has been coming on the last few weeks. What I want to see them do with him is put him in a third down role. For some reason, they've been doing that with Ty Johnson instead, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But they've had 2 weeks to get this right, and I think this coaching staff is the right coaching staff to get this right. So I think they're going to make adjustments here, and I think this team's going to come out pretty hot, I think, from the beginning. At least that's my hope. And in Bipocalypse, as a fantasy footballers call it, Michael Carter might actually be a decent start this week.
Yes, I'm starting him in at least one league. And, I was blowing up your phone last Sunday. Tonight. But last Sunday when the Jets were or was it 2 Sundays? I don't even know. They had a bye, right? So
yeah, so that was two Sundays ago when they were playing Atlanta.
They were running Michael Carter as a first and second down back, which is the exact opposite of what he's good at it, but he's a great pass catcher.
Yeah, but if we're going to do that, let's put him on third down too. Let's make him a bell cow if that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, or put him on second and third down and let Johnson be I don't know.
Yeah, no, Johnson's, don't get me wrong, Johnson's talented, but Michael Carter is immensely more talented. Johnson's your change of pace back. He's not your third down back. So like you said, if you want him to be your bruiser, put him in on first down and let Carter get that second, third, and red zone work. Yep. By the way, exactly. And Ty Johnson has no appeal this week.
Nope.
I believe Ramondre Stevenson does have appeal, though, for the Patriots, which is kind of surprising. He got a fair amount of touches. He seems to be in that James White role now, too, and I think the Patriots are starting to regain confidence in him, too. So a lot of people picked him off waivers, and I think you can play him, too.
Yeah, I've seen him added pretty much in all my leagues. So he's trying to take that role. Hopefully he doesn't fumble and get benched in the first quarter, but I do like him to fill in tough situations. So.
And guys, now that someone actually did help come to JJ's rescue and not have to do this shit solo, and we have 3 people watching, feel free to ask questions on the side there and subscribe to Garbage Time Fantasy Football at our website, www.garbagetimeff.com. Leave questions on the side. We're more than happy to answer them, or just do what Edward does on the side and bitch about none of us being here. We're more than happy to answer that kind of stuff too. So,
join
the Heckling Fandom.
We love shit talk here.
Absolutely.
Joe, this is the first episode ever, I think, that didn't have the intro video on it. So,
oh boy,
I didn't have any of the stuff.
Well, next time I'll just run you through on how to do that. You don't need any of the stuff. You just click on that little sidebar shit over there. But all right, we'll make it work.
I got the banner.
He's got the banner, so he's happy with that. You hit that little thing on the side that says brand, and then it brings you to the videos. You scroll down and you click on them. Oh, damn.
Look at that.
Look at all that nice stuff on the side.
Learning on the fly.
No, that's all right. I'll show you after in case this ever happens again.
I'm ready now.
Right.
All right. Let's roll on the next game. We got Giants-Panthers. I think there's some fantasy viable players in this one. Darnold, I've added him in a league as a streamer this week to fill in. I know he had an off week last week, but their line played terrible, and I think they said they had 6 drops from their wide receivers, so nobody really played good for the Panthers. As much as Ron loves the Giants defense, they've underwhelmed this year, and Darnold is very familiar with MetLife Stadium. So
he is, but if you actually listen to Tuesday episode, I actually degraded him a little bit. I actually think the Giants defense is a decent streamer this week because Darnold's gotten – I think he's averaged 6 sacks in the last 3 weeks, and if you looked at his fantasy, he's gone down in value the last 3 weeks too. And this one thing that the Giants can actually do, besides their secondary not being too great right now is they can actually get a little bit of pressure. And some of those defenders on that Giants side actually do have a little bit of familiar practicing with Sam Darnold too. I think with that familiarity might actually help them get to it. The Panthers offensive line is actually hurt this week. So I think they're actually a sneaky start. And I don't see Darnold as a streaming option this week, even with a lot of other options out there. Two quarterback set leagues, super flex. That's about it. But I really honestly would rather start the Patriots rookie. That surprises you.
Yeah, a little bit. The one thing that really encouraged me with Darnold is in that Vikings game in the second half, when he finally realized that he wasn't getting time, he really started to run a lot, and he was effective in doing it. Mm-hmm. So I think that definitely helps his stats. He's definitely been down since that hot start he had. I just think this is I don't know. I think they match up decently with New York. So I'm not afraid to start him. I can definitely see your point, but we should make some kind of little side bet. Who scores more points, Mac Jones or Sam Darnold?
Well, I'm not that much and not that confident in Mac Jones after he burned me with the Cowboys last week. But yeah, another thing you need to note about Darnold is he's really been inefficient since CMC's been out too. So CMC seems to make any quarterback he's got back there look like a pretty decent weapon. I mean, look at Cam Newton, just a running back, and he looked pretty decent with him. Mm-hmm. So with CMC being out, I just see Darnold being very limited in what he does. Going into their wide receiving core, though, too, Robbie Anderson, I don't see him as a value. DJ Moore is still an excellent value, though. He has been dominating this year. He's their clear-cut number one wide receiver, and you could start him without a second thought, I don't believe.
Yep, I like Moore. Tommy Tremble, I thought was going to be a thing, but he is not involved enough, so I stay away from him.
How do you feel about the Giants wide receivers?
Well, Tony's out. Galladay's banged up, but I don't know if he's going to play or not, but Tony is doubtful, so he's not going to play. His ankle's pretty messed up, so I wouldn't be surprised if he missed next week too. So I like Sterling Shepard this week. Every game he's in, he just gets hyper-targeted by Daniel Jones.
I believe he had 7 catches last week, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He picked up pretty much right where he left off before he got hurt, so that was encouraging to see. And yeah, I really wanted to see that game with Tony and him to see how they were put in the formation, who got the slot and who went outside. But they'll probably mix and match them going forward. But yeah, I like Shepard this week. So
I heard something pretty interesting about Tony today too on the Fantasy Footballers. One of them was suggesting to players to potentially trade him away to win this week. Just a point I wanted to bring up about that. I really disagree with that option. If I could choose between keeping one bench spot clear so you might win this week, I wouldn't train Tony away to do that. I think he's a fantastic player going forward. And as a rookie, he's shown to be very explosive. I think he could really help you win your league potentially if that's the one player you need to go over the top. I'd rather lose the one game unless you're right on the fringe of the playoffs. If you're better off, I wouldn't even consider trading Tony. I think he's a fantastic player for the Giants, and Ron should be elated that he's actually starting to come on after how much shit we were giving him the first few weeks.
Yeah, I know. It really makes the trade look better for him. So, yeah, I'd probably hold Tony. I don't, because he's hurt. I mean, you're not going to get a lot for him. So, unless it's a dynasty league, but you probably don't want to cough him up in a dynasty league.
Who knows? Gettleman can actually get something right once in a while.
Right. What about Daniel Jones?
I don't like him this week because the Panthers have a sneaky good defense. It was exposed a little bit last week, but Daniel Jones doesn't have a lot of receiving options. I don't like Devontae Booker in the running game here. He's also somewhere on that fringe this week. I think somewhere between 13 to 15. He's not a horrible start if you are die hard in love with Daniel Jones kind of player like Ron is. But like I said, I think there's much better options than him and even Darnold, even like a Mac Jones this week. For some reason, I just feel like Mac Jones is going to have a good week against the Jets. He showed well in week 2. I believe he had 230 yards in his second game. And I think he's going to absolutely torch us this week. I'm not very confident that we're going to play well this week, but we will see.
Well, we got a comment on in.
JT Movin is back. He was also asking us questions on Tuesday. So JT Movin asks, I got to make a decision before game time tonight. And Would you start Hunter Renfrow against the Eagles or Tim Patrick against the Browns? All right, so I think I would start. Damn, the Browns got a pretty good defense, but Tim Patrick's Mr. Consistency, 10 to 12 points. In a PPR league, I think I would start Hunter Renfrow, but I think Tim Patrick would potentially have more opportunities tonight. Flip a coin here. What's your thoughts on this one, JJ?
Renfro is a safer play. Right now, there's 23-mile-an-hour winds in Cleveland. So I think this game could be defensive. And, Cleveland eats a lot of clock. They run the ball a lot. And I know they got Dearness Johnson, but he's going to get 15 to 20 carries tonight. That's my prediction. So I would probably try Renfro. The Eagles have a respectable offense, so I think the Raiders are going to have to score a little bit. But
yeah, and then an interesting thought too. This Raiders offense is starting to evolve now that Gruden's gone. We saw a little bit of a difference between last week and how this offense is running. So who knows what Renfro could do? It could potentially be a better week for him. And I think he's been pretty consistent in that offense this year, let alone he's got a very low floor. And he's much safer, especially in PPR leagues, I think.
If there wasn't really 20 to 25-mile-an-hour winds and it wasn't the Browns defense, I would probably say Tim Patrick because Teddy Bridgewater likes him a lot. But just the weather and the matchup just really make me lean Renfro a little bit. So I would say Renfro.
And if we're dead ass wrong and Tim Patrick goes off for 2 touchdowns tonight, you can leave your hateful voicemail at www.garbagetimeff.com, JT Moving. I know you heard me Tuesday, so go ahead and do it. Edward said he also dropped Daniel Jones for Derek Carr as a plug this week. I think that's a very good move, and I think it'll pay off for you. So what's the next game we're on to?
Let's see. The Bengals Ravens.
Did you want to comment on this first?
I don't mind Jones this week. I think they'll probably have a similar score. I do like Carr. My gut tells me that this is a Darren Waller game too. He's been too quiet lately, and this is a decent matchup versus the Eagles backers. So I think he could have a big game. So I think Carr could have probably around 300 and a couple touchdowns. I think they'll be statted similarly.
I was feeling 3-10-2. I think that's a pretty good stat line for him, and it would actually be kind of mundane compared to what he's had decent weeks, but might still put him definitely will put him in top 12 this week. And this will be the week that Daniel Jones throws for 400 because we're talking shit about him. So yeah. So definitely start Derek Carr, and I hope it works out for you, Edward.
Yeah.
All right. So you said on to the Ravens game, right?
Bengals Ravens.
Is Rashad Bateman going to be a thing in this game? Because people are on the fringe with a lot of wide receivers, and he might be a potential third wide receiver starting for you in the bipocalypse.
I got to see it. I don't know. Probably that's a huge gamble. I don't think he'll be out there for every snap. I know that I think they activated Boyle too, their tight end, or is it Doyle? Yep. It's Boyle. No, it's Boyle. Doyle's the Colts, but so I know he'll probably be put in packages. I wouldn't start Bateman unless I absolutely had to. I got to see it first.
How do you feel about? I'm trying to remember the tight end for the Bengals. Is it Uzama or
Uzama?
Uzama. How do you feel about him this week?
It's all right.
Who do you feel more confident in, him or Bateman? Who would you start as a stream flex?
Oh man, probably Uzama because I know he's going to get targets. He'll probably have 5 targets. I don't know what Lamar's going to do with Bateman. I'll say this about this game. I love Lamar and DFS in this game. So he always beats up on the Bengals, and I know they've gotten better, but they're at home, and I like the matchup. So
yeah, they're at a surprising 4-2, which until I saw them win last week, I had no idea. I'm like, damn, Bengals might actually be competitive this year. We'll see. It's still early. Someone else I really like in this game, even regardless of the Ravens defense, which has been a little bit better the last few weeks, is I like Joe Mixon. He's been the most efficient runner in the league, even being a little banged up this year. I think Joe Mixon's going to potentially get another 17 to 20 carries. I think he's in line with it, even with is it Pirine coming back from the COVID list. I think he's in to be a bell cow this game. Jamar Chase is going to get his work, but I really don't like the outlook for T. Higgins and Boyd in this game. I think they're going to look to work it through their stars in this game.
See, I don't know. I worry that like Marlon Humphrey is going to stick with Chase, and he probably can't stop Chase the way Chase is playing, but I wouldn't be surprised if one of the other receivers had a decent game. And Higgins is pretty cheap in DFS. I think he's like 4,900.
Yeah, and he's not having a bad year either. Boyd's been much more up and down than Higgins. Higgins has been Mr. Consistent, which is a wide receiver number 3 right now. You might just need that to win your week.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard. Like I do this every week. I question the Bengals receivers. And I'm like, one of these other 2 guys can have a good game, and then Chase has the good game. So maybe I should stop doing that and just stick with Chase.
He's looking like the offensive rookie of the year up to this point.
No one
else is even competing with him.
Hands down.
He's outpacing what Justin Jefferson did last year.
He is. So let's see receivers.
Never thought I would say that taking the wide receiver over the offensive lineman was the right move in the first round. Typically, you see that blow up in a team's face, and it doesn't seem to be for the Bengals. I was thinking same old Bengals because typically they like to draft the special end players like this, a wide receiver or even a running back really early and not do anything with the offensive line. But he's completely changed the whole dynamic of that offense and made it dynamic. It's not so flat like it used to be.
Right. Yeah, and the Lions took the offensive lineman, and they're 0-6. So,
yeah, funny how that works out.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else from this game? What do you think about the Ravens running back situation?
Cancer, stay away from it. Murray's not healthy, don't want it. He's probably the only one I'd even consider if he was healthy, but he's not, so I would completely stay away from this. I don't like Bell in this game. I understand he got his 1 touchdown last week, but that's probably the only touchdown he's going to get the entire season. And even forgetting, yeah, I'm still holding the grudge there. He stole money from the Jets and did absolutely nothing for us. Not that we helped him out or anything, but really their starting running back is it Gurley? Who the hell is the other one?
Devontae Freeman?
No, sorry, Devontae Freeman right now, who is their starter, and some people are predicting he's going to potentially get the workload in this, but I don't think any of them will get the workload. It's going to go to Lamar Jackson. One of them might get a sneaky touchdown, but good luck figuring out which one it's going to be.
Yeah, Lamar had kind of a down week last week. I think he wants his this week. He's going to score, I think, probably 4 touchdowns in this game.
But I mean, it should be a good game. And I mean, the Ravens seem like a team that would invite in Todd Gurley, so why not add him to the roster too? You know, really get the senior home going.
It's crazy because Gurley's like younger than us, but
but for football, he's in the senior home.
Right.
Mark Andrews, I think, will have another consistent game here too. He's been great the last 3 weeks, and I kind of feel like I stole him from my cousin. Yes, I traded her decent tight end for him, but for what he's been doing the last 2 weeks, it's been a very one-sided trade.
All your trades have.
Yeah, it's worked out. It's going to blow up in my face in the second half of the season, though. That's how it typically goes. Everyone will get hurt, and I won't have anyone rolling into the playoffs and lose to someone in the first round like last year.
Happens.
Mm-hmm. Just like you might catch fire and sneak in.
Yeah, I'd like to announce, I don't know if you guys talked about it this week, but I got my first win in our league.
Yeah, no, he was about to go on trial. Like we put Ryan on trial last year, and it didn't end up happening because he got that first one. If he loses a few more, he might, but let's see if he can start rebounding or not.
I'm not looking good this week, but we'll see.
He's doing what he can to avoid the toilet bowl trophy.
That's right.
Although I wanted to run this idea with you after this question. I kind of was contemplating this while I was sitting at work today. But anyway, OBJ or Devontae Smith, it's not even a question. It's Devontae Smith. OBJ shouldn't even barely be on your bench. I'm sorry. I just don't want to start him in any format. I'm so sick of OBJ. I don't care that he's been getting 70 yards the last 2 weeks. Not only that, Jarvis Landry is coming back healthy, and he is the one that's going to get the work with the Browns. Even with those running backs being out, they're not multidimensional. They're playing a backup quarterback tonight, and the safety net is Jarvis Landry. He's going to be the one that gets to work tonight. OBJ should go to the bench, and you should play Devontae Smith.
Yeah. That's probably right. Like I said, I don't know if you were in here earlier, Isaiah, but The weather for this game, there's 25-mile-an-hour winds right now in Cleveland, so the deep ball is probably not going to be flying too well tonight. That's kind of OBJ's game, and Keenum can sling it a little bit, but yeah, I'd probably go with Smith in a game where they're going to have to throw. So
sounds good for the Cleveland running backs, though, because that means they'll definitely be getting work. So maybe both of them will be viable tonight. Just something to consider.
And OBJ, he almost didn't play. Like, nobody thought he was going to play during the week, and he's got a pretty bad injury. So at any time he could get knocked out of the game. Smith is healthy. He's indoors in a game that's going to score points. I'd probably roll with Smith. I'd have to agree with Joe.
It's so funny that you mentioned that we had the game tonight, because now I'm sitting here on my phone making sure I've actually got no one that's playing in this game, because there's always something you end up forgetting to do. So I'm like, well, OBJ's on none of my team, so I don't have to worry about that. But I'm like, do I have any Denver Broncos? Well, Judy's out, and no, I traded away all my Broncos. So, nope, I think we're good.
Yeah, if you got players going tonight, make sure they're not in your flex spot.
Yeah, put them in the positional spot that they would go, because it leaves you with some more options going later into the week. So just consider that. All right, so what was the next game we were getting into?
We just covered the Ravens, so we will roll to – I'm in last week. Let's go to the Eagles and Raiders. Talked about this game a little bit.
So again, how do you feel about Devontae Smith?
I don't know. He burned me last week. I got him in a couple leagues, and I thought he could get open versus Tampa, but Jalen Hurts played so bad last week. So you need Jalen to rebound so he can get Devontae the ball. So
even if Jalen, in a regular sense, doesn't rebound, he always has that running ability too, like Lamar. So you know, he looks like absolute shit for 3 quarters, and then he hits garbage time. Fitting, because that's the name of the show. And then you have 25 points. It's kind of your basement. Whether that works for any of these wide receivers, that's not good and kind of scary. But I think he's still a top 12 play this week. I still like him. It's very ugly. You want to close your eyes and turn around when you start him, but I think you can play him.
Yep.
And I think Smith is a decent low-end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. Hopefully that'll get better as we continue. Real quick before the game starts, Landry, Ruggs, or Allen Robinson in flex. Well, I'm sorry, JJ, but Allen Robinson is not a good flex going forward. I would even rather have your other wide receiver on the other end. It's just not been good. Ruggs, 97 yards on 3 catches. He's boom bust. Landry, coming off injury in the wins. I'm going to really go out on a limb here and say I think Ruggs might be the flex play here. He's really boom bust, though. What's your thoughts on this?
I'm biased. And he hasn't done shit all year. But the Bucs are going to drop about 40 points on the Bears, and they're going to have to throw the whole game. That's all I'm going to say.
And the Bucs do have a bad secondary.
And Robinson got his versus the Bucs last year. So –
but Edward, you have time to think about this, because I think you can cross Landry off your list. He is the safety net for the Browns. I think he's even going to do better than Odell tonight, but I think you're looking at more like 8 or 9 points for him, honestly. That's what I'm kind of feeling with Landry, even with those wins going. You know how this goes. We pick this, and then it's dead ass wrong, and then you think we're idiots anyway. But you cross them out the list, you're left with more options, and you can evaluate these other 2 going into the weekend.
It's a risk, right? I mean, Landry's coming back from a pretty bad injury. Bad weather outside, backup quarterback. You just don't know what you're going to get. And the other guys have been hit or miss too. Robinson's been miss or miss, but
Ruggs has been more boom than bust though the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's kind of turned on a little bit. So I agree with Joe. Ruggs or Robinson.
I would stay off Landry tonight and then evaluate what you want to do more this weekend. Evaluate the weather, the conditions for the game, and what the defenses are looking like, because the injury situations will obviously clear themselves out a little bit more too. As JJ said, Allen Robinson is going against a very bad secondary, and they're going to have to score a lot. But Ruggs has been more consistent. Allen Robinson has done nothing this season. Where I've got the hesitation with Allen Robinson, not that he's not talented, but the Bears are going up against a very good front 7 with the Bucs, who against a shady offensive line, Fields might get hit a lot. I understand he's got legs, but he still might get hit a lot. You might be looking at a game where he's throwing for 150 and 3 interceptions. I hope not, dude. I hope you upset them, because you did last year. but that was with a different quarterback. And unfortunately, the rookie's going to have to take his lumps. So I'm not very confident in Allen Robinson this week.
Wonder if Brady will shake Foles' hand after the game.
Yeah, probably not. So anyway, back to this Eagles game too. How do you feel about Miles Sanders this week?
Bye weeks, I don't know. If you got him, you've got him. Obviously, hard bye-byes this week. Yep.
Yeah.
Somebody else has hit hard bye-byes this week too, and it's going to have to start Miles Sanders. I'll say this. The media attention and a lot of people are talking about the Eagles' play calling and how they have not been running the football when they seem like they can maybe do it effectively. So
they're trying to bring back Andy Reid's West Coast offense, except it's not working.
Like,
it's not a West Coast offense either. It's a hike the ball from front snap, drop back, and try to throw it 15 yards. But
yeah, they're giving these running backs like less than 8 carries a game between the two of them. So it's like
very odd.
Makes no sense. Get to establish the run.
And it's not like they've got a bad and they don't have a bad offensive line there, so I don't understand why they don't. I don't know. They're trying to reinvent the wheel there, and it's just not working. They just need to get back to basics, I think. Miles Sanders is, I mean, you might get that random 90-yard run off one of these 8 touches, but just not very confident in him either. And his backup, unfortunately, hasn't done anything in the last few weeks either after having a 20-point performance in the first week. So another whole running back situation to avoid, but you might not be able to avoid it this week considering you have no one else on your roster.
The potential is there. You can run on the Raiders, but Bears did it 2 weeks ago. The Broncos did a little bit last week. Javonte Williams had some explosive runs. So, I mean, you can do it. So I don't know why you wouldn't. So I don't mind Sanders this week. And if you have him, you probably took him in like the 5th or 6th round. So you're probably going to end up starting him.
Damn, man, since I've gotten on this episode, I'm nothing but doom and gloom talking all of these players this week. How do you feel about Jacobs?
The word out of Vegas is Jacobs finally feels 100% healthy. So I think you're going to see him kind of get back to normal a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if he had more touches. That's kind of what scares me with Ruggs a little bit. I know he's a big play guy, but I can see, the Raiders interim coach is a very old school guy. I think he probably wants to establish a run. Yep. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if Jacobs has 16 to 20 carries this game. I think he's probably pretty active. What about you?
So I think they're going to perform pretty well here. I could see Jacobs definitely getting his workload. The only thing that really concerns me is they have running back thieves back here like to steal touchdowns. Yeah, we're not going to say anything else on that because Jacobs should get touches there because he gets the work and he's a workhorse there. But the Raiders will do what the Raiders do. I do like Ruggs this week again. I understand he only had 3 catches for 97 yards this week, but I think they see explosion with him. I think this interim coach is going to want to play his best players and get them involved, and that's Waller and Ruggs on this offense with Jacobs. I think all 3 of them are going to have a pretty good week. I do. Renfro, Mr. Consistent, somewhere between 7 to 10 points, which might be enough to help you win this week.
Has he scored yet this year? He's due.
Honestly, I don't know because I try to avoid him at all costs. He's literally like he's a basement level player at a wide receiver 3 that just can't hit the first floor beyond that. You know what you're going to get with him. He's very similar to a Tim Patrick, which is kind of funny because we were just kind of comparing the two.
He has scored twice.
Yeah, so, I mean, you get into the end zone, it's a good week for him.
Yeah.
I think you can start these 4 players confidently with the Raiders and not even think too much about it. You're going to get some production from all of them.
Yep. And I know you guys talked about Goddard on the waivers show, but I think he's primed for a good week too. Hurts seems to like the tight ends a lot, and obviously Ertz isn't there anymore. So
it's going to be a lot of targets, and he just came off the COVID list today too, so he's ready to roll.
Well, he didn't practice, which is kind of weird. Just keep an eye on that. But if he does play, I like him this week.
That's okay. The Eagles' offense doesn't look like it practices any day. It just looks like he's playing street ball, so it'll be fine. Like it. I think he just looks at the play sheet, just throws it away. He's like, all right, let's go. It's like arena ball.
It is.
Ugly.
All right. Let's keep rolling here. Got the Matt Stafford revenge game. We got the Lions going to LA to play the Rams. Rams are 16-point favorites.
Yeah, revenge game, huh? Oh, boy.
Are they going to let them rack it up?
Oh, the Rams are going to rack up some points in this game, and the Lions are going to fall to 0-7. Does that mean some of these players are not startable? Well, I said some of the Giants players are going to be startable last week, and boy, did they prove me wrong. It did not look good outside of Sterling Shepard. So maybe one of these wide receivers will be viable, but I mean, I'm on Ross St. Brown again. If you gotta, which you very well might have to, but my God, I mean, they've got great corners on the other side. There's, I don't want to start any of the Detroit players in this game.
I guess, yeah, I said it's a Stafford revenge game. I guess it should be classified as a Goff revenge game because it's more personal to him. So,
yeah, Stafford's definitely going to get his.
Yeah, I wouldn't start any Lions outside of DeAndre Swift and Hawkinson.
I mean, like we said, by apocalypse, you might have to start Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I would do anything in my person to avoid that. He's not even on the level of Sterling Shepard yet. Doesn't mean he won't get there, but he's young. He's young. He's a rookie. I mean, he'll get the targets, but that Rams defense is going to murder the Detroit. This may be better than anybody. They do, and it might be a 35-7 game. It's going to be bad, I think.
I don't know. We'll see.
So I think Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Henderson, Stafford, Higbee. Hell, I might even consider third and fourth wide receivers of the Rams over Amon-Ra St. Brown in this game. They might get involved. It's just, I think this is going to get ugly quick.
Yeah, and I like Henderson a lot this week. Sony Michel's banged up as per usual. So Henderson is 6,600 in DraftKings, so I like him a lot this week.
Yeah, if you have a lineup for DFS, if we get into it too,
I do.
I promise you he's in my lineup, and I'm sure he's in 90% of people's lineups this week because he's going up against the 32nd run defense in the league. It could get very, very ugly this week.
Yes, it could.
So if you're looking for parity in your DFS lineups, Henderson is not going to be parity.
No, man.
All right. Anyone else in this game you need to talk about? Because I think we pretty much covered that in about a minute.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory game. Next game, we have an even bigger point spread. You have the Houston Texans and the Arizona Cardinals, last undefeated team in the league. This game also has blowout written all over it. It's a DeAndre Hopkins revenge game.
Do you want to know how ugly it's getting this week? So off of waivers, I picked up Mark Ingram, and I'm starting him at my running back 2 spot. And that's because I have, let's see here. I've got Williams for Chicago, but he's currently on COVID list. Robinson is on bye. And I've also got Dalvin Cook on bye. So I'm running with Kamara and Mark Ingram in my number 2 spot. So let me say this about this. Boy, does he get carries. He got 20 of them last week, but it was at a very ugly 78 yards. So I'm going to get volume here. He's a starting running back in this league. But boy, is this going to be disgusting. I'm hoping for 10 points from Mark Ingram because that Cardinals front 7 is good, and this shit is going to get nasty.
It looked good last week.
Yeah. Oh, boy. This is Detroit, and the Texans are in for a rough week, I think.
Yep.
How do you feel about starting Brandon Cooks this week?
I think you gotta. They're gonna be down probably 20 points halfway through the second quarter, I would guess. So Davis Mills is gonna be lifting that long neck up and whipping it all over the field.
General Mills is coming back to the field.
He is.
Boy, did they wish they had Tyrod for this game, I think. Maybe not. Maybe they want to keep losing. But I mean, all right. So I guess with that, we'll move on to the Cardinals side of the ball. Is it going to be 4 or 5 touchdowns for this prolific Cardinals wide quarterback?
Probably 5.
Four 4 passing, 1 rushing for Kyler Murray this week.
It's gonna depend how fast they rack up the points and go into coast mode, but
I'm not exaggerating. This might be a 45-point week for Kyler Murray again.
Yeah, I like Kyler a lot. What about the pass catchers? Do you trust Kirk or Moore or Green, or is it just a coin toss?
So, honestly, I think they're all viable this week. Last week, all of them had around 75 yards. The Texans are going to give up a lot of yardage in this game, but this might be, as you described, the kind of game where DeAndre Hopkins gets 2 touchdowns in the first half, and then they decide they're just going to run the ball instead because they're up in front so much, and they want to keep these guys reserved. If that's the case, I think you want to go towards the veterans on this team. Kirk and A.J. Green, I think, are safer than Rondale Moore, who's talented. And going into the future, he'll be a starter. But I think I would be more comfortable in playing a slot or possession receiver. I'm saying that because I have no preference on either one of them. I think you're going to be fine with either one of them this week. You're going to find that floor, I think, of 75 yards. And hopefully they'll get in the end zone. And it'll help you win this week.
So far this year, Hopkins hasn't had double-digit targets in a game. I think this is a game. I think he's probably going to pull Kyler aside this week and say, I want 200 yards and 3 touchdowns this game.
Yeah, well, he did play for this team before, so you were talking about a revenge game. This is definitely a revenge game.
He is still bitter with management and everything, how that went down. So,
but boy, I bet you he's happy he's gone.
It's worked out for him.
Yeah, you think? How do you feel about the Cardinals running backs in this game? I said they could get ahead early and get a lot of yardage here. Is it going to be split?
Be busy.
Yeah. Which one's going to be busy though?
I don't know. Last week you saw Connor get more because they were up big.
So ridiculous.
Edmonds he's banged up. He's got that shoulder injury that's kind of been nagging him. So I don't know if they just.
I'm sorry, but I don't give a crap if he's injured. He almost had 12 yards of carry last week, and his counterpart, Connors, was averaging 3.3 yards of carry. That's absolutely pathetic. You get it to your playmakers, and Connors is not the playmaker.
Connor got all the garbage time carries, but he
garbage time carries.
He averaged over 4 a carry. That was respectable.
I thought it was 3.3. Was that the week
4.4 for Connor last week?
Bias off the previous week stats, I guess.
Edmonds only had 4 carries, and he had that 40-yard run. But
I'm mistaken, I guess, off, like I said, the previous week's stats. But regardless, I think Edmonds is a much more talented running back, and I don't understand why they don't just give him the ball, because get your playmakers the ball. But like you said, he might be banged up, so both are viable, especially in this game.
Yep, I think both
Texans suck, so you can play either one of them.
Yep. All right. Let's keep rolling. 2 games to go. See if we can't wrap it up in an hour. Colts and 49ers in San Fran.
Let me say this. The 49ers secondary, it's not very good, and Carson Wentz has been a top 12 quarterback the last 2 weeks, regardless of who his wide receivers are. But the Colts had this little issue of not making Michael Pittman a true number 1 wide receiver, and he's got the build for it. He's got the talent for it. But for some reason, they like to spread it around when the obvious answer is run the ball with your very talented running back and get the ball to Michael Pittman. But, why make sense?
Yeah, I don't know. I picked the 49ers to win this game. I don't know how I feel about it, but Garoppolo is going to start, so I think Lance will probably be inactive with his knee injury, and Jimmy G will be starting. So it's home. I like Debo this week. I know you had to start Ayuk. What do you think he's going to do this week?
I think he gets me 10 points with George Kittle being out. I think I'll actually get something from him this week. At least I hope I get something from him this week, but God knows what's going on in Kyle Shanahan's head ever. I'd really like to cut him, but I've got not a lot of decent options on that waiver wire right now. So, Brandon Ayuk, welcome to the starting lineup for the second time this season. Don't disappoint. I'm looking for 10 points from him this week, I think.
Okay.
I mean, like you said, his counterpart on the other side, I think, is going to have an incredible game.
Debo, yeah. And then good luck figuring out the running back situation for the 49ers.
Let's see. Elijah Mitchell's back. Their rookie from Ohio State is going to do shit for them. I believe Tasty should be back soon too, correct?
Who?
Tasty. Hasty.
Yeah, Michael Hasty.
He should be back soon. Probably Elijah Mitchell this week, I would imagine. I think Jeff Wilson's coming off IR in a few weeks. This running back situation is a mess. I think Elijah Mitchell is the starter here. Nothing more than flex play, though, unfortunately, because like we said before, for all you know, Kyle Shanahan's going to give 10 handoffs to his fullback. You just really don't know what he's going to do. So, I mean, he wins games with it, but it's not very relevant for fantasy. And he, like
Does
I said,
he, though?
I mean, he did a few weeks ago. He could. I think Elijah Mitchell is a flex play. Beyond that, I'm not playing any of these running backs.
Yeah, he's probably the only one. I'm starting him in the league. I see Edward is starting Elijah Mitchell. So,
oh boy, Edward, good luck. he's on there by default. So is Naheem Hines going to get any work this week?
I don't know. I'm not playing him anywhere. I know that Jonathan Taylor is, though. I'm feeling pretty good about our bet that we made. Do you remember the bet?
Yeah, I remember Jonathan Taylor was going to have a better year than I believe it was the Packers starter Jones, which Jones is having a very average year and now splitting carries with A.J. Dillon. So, boy, unless Taylor gets hurt, I am not looking very good on that end of the bet. I felt good after 2 weeks, but Jonathan Taylor's starting to tear it up now. So, you're looking pretty good there.
To bring myself back down to earth, I did make the hot take that Jonathan Taylor would have more rushing yards than Derrick Henry this year. So,
well, yeah, that's definitely
that
not the
stupid
case.
Take.
I heard this insane stat that I believe Henry has more touchdowns than all of the relevant running backs on buys this week combined.
Yep.
He has 10 going into this week. Like, absolutely insane. I do think he's going to break the record this year. He was so close to it last year, and he is adamant he's going to do it this year.
That's something that I'll take the heat on. I thought he would come back down to earth, and that's what I said in the offseason.
Yep.
Because he's had so much work, and then now he's getting as much or even more work, and he's also clocked the fastest running time on the field this season.
Oh, he has, and he's overall the number one scoring target in all of fantasy football. That includes over players like Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, and any other quarterback too. He is out in front of them, which is absolutely incredible. And he's not even a passing down back, which, considering in the first round, most of the time you try to get yourself a passing down back, unless it's Derrick Henry. He's just a complete oddity. And age hasn't gotten to him yet, and mileage doesn't seem to matter.
Freak.
Definitely not a Ford.
I don't have a Ford, so.
Yeah, no, I've owned one, and I never will own one again.
Okay.
They circled the problem.
All right, back to the game. T.Y. Hilton is banged up. I'm not sure if he's going to go.
Paris Campbell's out for the year.
Paris Campbell is out. So, Zach Pascal.
Oh, boy.
Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, she cut him today to make room on her roster for Mac Jones, I believe. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll look to pick Zach Pascal up before, because I picked him up before and he got a touchdown for me in week 1. Might do a little better than Ayuk. Something to consider going forward.
I find that pretty funny, to be honest with you.
I do, but actually I think he could be viable this week. Like I said, the 49ers secondary is not good, and Carson Wentz has looked pretty good the last few weeks passing the ball. He's not hurt anymore. They got to throw to someone besides Pittman. Wally Cox is starting to get involved, but I think he'd rather throw to these wide receivers. So I think he could have a good week.
Yep. I'm okay with it if you have to.
Yeah, if you have to.
49ers side, we kind of touched on it. Probably wouldn't start Garoppolo, the running back puzzle. We think Elijah Mitchell's probably the only guy you want to start in that backfield. And then obviously if you have Deebo Samuel, you'll start him.
Who's starting for tight end at them?
Ross Dwelly.
How do you feel about Ross Dwelly?
I'm not too confident.
All right, moving on.
If you have to, you have to. But
right. What's this last game you wanted to cover?
Last game's
DFS quick.
MNF, Monday Night Football, Saints at Seahawks, Geno Smith versus Jameis Winston, clash of the Titans.
Start the Saints defense against Geno Smith because, boy, will that get you some points.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it's maybe. I think it's a definite. I think they're definitely the defensive dominator of the week. My defensive dominator of the week.
Is it? Are you clicking it?
I think it is, but I'd actually have to get to it. So, guys, like I said, Saints defensive dominator. Of the week.
About that call. They're at CenturyLink Field. It's one of the toughest places to play.
Okay. And let me express in this game, do not start Tyler Lockett. He's not going to do anything for you. I would rather start Henry Ruggs over him. That's telling you something. Yes. Oh, I would take Henry Ruggs 100 out of 100 times over Tyler Lockett. You might actually want to trade him away. I don't think Geno Smith's going to do anything for him. On the other end, I think DK Metcalf is still wide receiver number 2 because he is a tight end in a wide receiver's body, and Geno's not accurate, so he's going to throw it to the big guy down the field.
Yeah, maybe. Lockett's it's very discouraging. Hopefully Wilson heals quick. Other than that.
Yeah. How do you feel about the Seattle running back situation now that they're talking about Rashad Penny coming back?
God. It's ugly. It's all ugly. Collins is banged up with a hip/glute injury. I think he just got hit pretty hard. I think he'll probably end up playing.
That's right. Hips and thighs, they all matter to running backs, and he'll probably play banged up, and him and Penny will probably split carries. They'll each have 5 fantasy points. It's going to be ugly.
In the league, I have Alex Collins, and I added Tiernis Johnson and started him over Alex Collins. So that's kind of where my confidence is with Collins.
This is so scary that I think in our Megalo Bowl league, I'm going to have to add Rashad Penny to the bench and hope to God that Alex Collins goes inactive because then I think Penny might actually have a decent game.
I don't know.
It's so ugly.
Well, you said a decent game, and then you had the Saints as your defensive dominator.
Yeah, if you consider 10 points a decent game, which I just think it's going to be low-scoring games all around for everyone in fantasy football this week, outside of maybe 1 or 2 teams that somehow survived by apocalypse, but we'll see how that goes. So how do you feel about Jameis Winston this week?
I think he gets Traquan Smith back this week. He was practicing. I don't think Michael Thomas is back yet. We're still awaiting that. But, they need someone to step up as the pass catcher. So they'll have Callaway and Smith in this one versus a pretty bad Seattle secondary. So I think they can score.
Well,
Kamara's obviously gotten more involved in the passing game, so
I think it's going to be their top pass catcher this week.
All right.
So, yeah, we have that. I guess someone's going to be getting some passing work in this offense, and I think it'll be Alvin Kamara. I think he's going to be in for a very game, maybe something like, I'll say 130 rushing and 45 passing, 2 TDs. I think that's the kind of week he's in for. I think he's in for a very big game, and that's no bias because he's on my roster or anything. I just think he's going to have a good game.
Okay.
All right, and I think with that, do you want to get into DFS lineups?
Yeah, let's do it real quick.
All right, lineups. Do you have your lineup up? Because I've still got to drag mine up.
I do. I'll go through it real quick. Quarterback, I have Lamar Jackson. At running back, I have the 2 chalkiest running backs this week, I'm sure. Darrell Henderson and Derrick Henry. At receiver, I have Hollywood Brown. I stacked Lamar with him. Chris Godwin. I love Chris Godwin this week versus the Bears. Antonio Brown. I didn't even cover the Bucs and Bears game, but oh well. It's going to be a blowout, folks.
Let me mention something about Antonio Brown that you just brought up. So he didn't practice today, and there's strong suggestions he's going to go inactive this week, which would be a big blow because he's one of the very few weapons I have on my roster, and I am sincerely fucked if he is not playing this week. So
I love Godwin.
Please practice tomorrow.
I love Godwin this week in the slot versus Bears. I think he's having his biggest game of the year. Anyways, to Godwin. Jaylen Waddle. I like the matchup versus Atlanta. Tua hyper targets him.
Oh, absolutely.
I got Waddle in there. And then in my tight end and flex, I actually just punted and played Cole Kmet just as a flyer. They're going to be down. They're going to have
Bears bias bleed through.
It's not even bias. It's just they're so bad that they're going to be getting blown out. And Fields started to target him last week. He got more involved, so maybe he can have a little momentum. And then I played Quez Watkins. So they traded away Ertz, and you saw even with Ertz there, Watkins got more targets last week, and he clearly has taken Jalen Reagor's spot. So he's only 3,900. I needed a cheap filler. And then my defense, I went with the Giants. Like we talked about earlier, I know I was opting for Darnold a little bit, but yeah, the Giants could absolutely make him have a terrible game like last week. So,
all right. So on the week of Bipocalypse, as a fantasy footballer podcast has called it, I'm going with the matchups this week. So I'm going with Patrick Mahomes against the 31st worst secondary in the league in Tennessee. They got torched last week. They're going to get torched again this week. He's an easy start here, but he's expensive at 8,400. Darrell Henderson, just like you, I already talked about it. He's going to be the most started running back, I think, in all of DFS this week. Probably it's something like a stupid 90% start. But he's a cheaper option, a 66 going up against the 32nd ranked defense. He's going to destroy Detroit. Darrell Williams, a little bit cheaper of a running back option here because I'm going to be getting a little bit more expensive here, 5,800. I think Kansas City is going to absolutely light up Tennessee. Tennessee might get a lot of points, but boy, that secondary is going to give up a lot of points for Kansas City, and they're going to be able to run the ball in this game too, which Darrell Williams has been getting passing work too, so I think he's going to have a productive game. And if I'm starting those two, I'm going to have to play Tyreek Hill, right? So he's going to have 2 touchdowns on 180, I think. Very expensive at 8,600 here. I think Jaylen Waddle is also going to have 10 catches, so that's another consistency we have among each other. He got hyper-targeted last week. All these players outside of Gesicki are still hurt. Atlanta's got a bad secondary, too. Look for him to get hyper-targeted and look very good this week. I punted on the third wide receiver option, so I went with a cheap option that could potentially break out in Rashad Bateman. Listen, this Ravens offense is highly productive. They're starting to pass the ball around a little bit more, and I like what I saw from Rashad Bateman. So, they're going up against Cincinnati. It's a rival. Why not? You got to throw some wild cards in there. So I went with Rashad Bateman. Next, I went for Hunter Henry up against the New York Jets. He has been very good the last 2 weeks. He's going up against a Jets defense that's 23rd against tight ends. He's a fairly decent option at 4,100. Mac Jones likes to throw the ball short. The Patriots were in the red zone quite a bit against the Jets in week 2, so I think Hunter Henry could come away with a touchdown and be pretty productive here. And then I went with J.D. McKissic for Washington against Green Bay for this reason. The whole Washington football team's offense is banged up. They were even questioning going into today that their starting wide receivers weren't going to play and that their starting running back were going to play. All of them practiced today, but I think J.D. McKissic is going to get the majority of that work for the entire team. He's the passing down back. I think Green Bay is going to get ahead very early in this game. So J.D. McKissic, I think, is a very good play for this week, and he's fairly cheap for your flex at 5,000. Next, Giants defense, like I said, is the defensive dominator pick of the week at 2,500. I think they're going to sack shit out of Sam Darnold and make him look silly. So, Ron, you're going to be in, I think, for your second win this week because I actually picked them to beat the Panthers this week. So, Giants defense at 2,500. And that's my defensive pick of the week and my DFS lineup of the week.
All right.
Anything you'd like to say before we get out of here?
I got to go put my kid to sleep. So, no, I sorry, folks. I started solo and didn't do the intro, but we made it work. Joe played hero this episode, so thanks to him for that. But,
yeah, no playing hero next week. I'm going to be gone all week, so someone else will have to play hero for you guys. Anyway, it seems like you were keeping us floating. They were still coming in. So, all right, guys, you can find us on Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, tune in, www.garbagetimeff.com. Like the video, subscribe to it, join the Heckling Fandom. Scream questions on us at the website. I mean, the speaker's right on the side of the website on the right. Click on it. You submit your name, 30-second clip. We'll play it right here on the show. Christian yells at us all the time at it. It's fantastic. Fun to do. Brian's also got a show. He said he's got an episode coming out this week. Garbage Time presents the MMA podcast. Good shit to listen to. He'll win you money. Probably gets 10 picks out of 14 a week. Absolutely fantastic. And with that, let's go watch some football, JJ. Good night, guys.